Hello, everyone. I'm Kenny Potter, president of ECS Publishing Group, and today we are very excited to have Dr. Eugene Rogers, the Director of Choral Activities at University of Michigan. And Eugene, welcome.
Thank you, Kenny. So great to be here. What an honor it is to have this time together.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eugene, I've known you from your reputation. It precedes you, but I've
Oh,
known your work for a long time, and I have great respect for you as a person, but also as a colleague and a champion for the choral industry. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. And I want to start off for those people that might not be as acquainted with you. People know you from University of Michigan, but I was reviewing a piece that was written by Esai Barnwell,
oh
and
yes.
it said to Eugene Rogers, and it was a high school that was listed associated with you as a director. So obviously you taught high school. So just
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your earlier years as a
Sure.
music educator.
Sure. Gosh. I just a little bit of an anecdote when people ask me, or even my current students, especially the undergraduates. And like an undergraduate, you always have in mind, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out and I'm going to lead this program. And the first story I tell them is that that's who I was when I graduated from undergrad. I thought I was until my very first job was at an elementary school. But that first job, it was a maternity leave. I graduated in January, and this Mr. High School conductor, first job was K through 5, and that job radically affected my life because it's through that job that I began my work with the Glen Ellen Children's Chorus. Doreen Rao was in town doing a workshop. I brought my students. She recognized me with my students, and Emily Ellsworth came to my rehearsals and hired me on the spot to be one of their number 2 conductors with the Glen Ellen Children's Chorus. So that actually was my very first exposure to really conducting was through the Glen Ellen Children's Chorus. And simultaneously, I was then hired by Wabansie Valley High School in the Chicago suburbs. And that's where I started a group called the Unity Chorus. And that group started, gosh, in really the late 90s. And that group was a group that commissioned Esai Barnwell all those years ago. And that group our focus was doing non-Western choral repertoire and really trying to bring in many backgrounds, celebrating our wonderful diversity at that school. And so, elementary, children's chorus, high school was all my start before then. And then I did also briefly taught at Grosse Pointe High School after I got my master's from the University of Michigan. And for a very brief stint in the state of Oregon, I taught at a high school there. So I really got a chance to see the Midwest, Michigan, Illinois, a little bit in Oregon, children's chorus, and then the collegiate career began with my first college job at Macalester College in the St. Paul area, where Dale Worland was there for 32 years. Kathy Romy had been there for, gosh, over 10 years she was there, or definitely at least around 10 years. And so that lineage was my first college job and knew that I wanted to honor that legacy and that tradition. So it's been a bit of a journey. And then fast forward to today, of course.
Well, and the pillars of choral music between Emily and Doreen and Kathy and Dale, that's really cool.
Yes.
And you are still extremely busy, not only with University of Michigan, but you also have other activities as well. Share just a little bit about what you're doing from a conducting perspective outside of
Sure.
University of Michigan.
So my other really full-time position in tandem with Michigan is the Washington Chorus. I mean, for those who don't know, it's actually a Grammy award-winning symphony chorus in the DC area, and the group produces their own concerts with orchestra, but also collaborates with the National Symphony, the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and the National Philharmonic Orchestras in that area. So I get to conduct and prepare for those orchestras. And through that organization, we have a major tradition of Christmas concerts. And so that's where I get to often feature new voices and premiere new Christmas works as well through that organization. And then, near and dear to my heart, through the Sphinx Organization, which is the longest running diversity classical organization in the United States, is the Sphinx Organization. And I conduct the Exigence Vocal Ensemble, which is the vocal arm of the Sphinx Organization, where we champion excellence in the arts with highlighting, obviously, music from the Black and the Latinx communities, but ultimately championing excellence in the arts.
And I can attest it's a really, really fine ensemble with great programming. And so I absolutely love that. So we are very excited that this year we launched the Eugene Rogers Choral Series with ECS Publishing. And we're so excited to have you on board. Just share a little bit about that.
Sure. I used to have a former Eugene Rogers series, and now this one is broader in the fact that it is all voicings, not just mostly TTBB, but SATB, it'll SSAA and TTBB. But through Galaxy Music Publishing, our goal is to make these works through the Eugene Rogers series be things that could be performed by church, community, high school, middle school, if appropriate, of really accessible works of all voice types and diverse, many different backgrounds. I have a passion for emerging composers. So a lot of the names, there will be some familiar names, but there'll also be a lot of new voices that people can look to. The thing that they all will have in common will be excellence, always musical excellence. There's nothing in the series that I personally would not program with any of my ensembles, in addition to just interesting ideas and broad, from sacred to Christmas to folk songs to new classical traditions. And so I just really look forward to bringing forth this new Eugene Rogers series that will champion emerging and established composers in a breadth of repertoire that's accessible. And I think that's what we want to highlight, its accessibility.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of established composers, we have just released a piece in the Eugene Rogers series by Stacey Gibbs. You want to talk about that one?
Absolutely. I mean, I just have to say a side note that Stacey Gibbs and when I was briefly hired by the Boys Choir of Harlem in New York for a very short stint, and he is the composer that I first commissioned to bring a piece with me to New York. And we have been in each other's lives now for over 20 years. And so whenever we get the chance to collaborate, when I said, Stacey, are you going to let me have it? I want to have you in the series. He says, come on, man, you don't even have to ask. So this piece of his was recently commissioned by my dear colleague, Michael Mitchell, who's interim conductor of our Michigan Men's Glee Club this past spring. And he wanted to commission a piece by Stacey because he's also from the state of Michigan and loves his works. And Stacey, he arranged a wonderful work that is from Alan Lomax's collection. Folks know him as a musician, an ethnomusicologist, an archivist, collecting really America's early folk songs. And so this is actually a prison blues that really we know very little about. But if folks want to know more about it, we'll have this arrangement. But Lomax has a huge collection at the Smithsonian, the Library of Congress, that people can really go hear. And Stacey always wanted to set one of these prison African-American blues songs. This particular one is from one of the Mississippi penitentiaries in the South, and really is from a collection of songs where Alan has really almost 2 volumes. And this piece is set for TTBB, the setting, but we know how this goes. If it goes well, there may be other settings, but we're coming out with the TBB wood block to give that sound of working. I liken it, yes, it's a prison blues specific, but I liken it to the African-American work songs of the early slaves. And it has some similarities. A cappella, you hear the rhythm underneath the singing, a lot of moaning and groaning. And so really a powerful piece. I look forward to performing it this year with the Colorado TTBB All-State Ensemble and many others. But I'm excited about this new release.
And there's more to come, and we're excited to, again, have more with that's going to be coming out. Well, Eugene, thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you.
And everyone, you can go to the website, ecspublishing.com, and check out more of the Eugene Rogers Choral Series. Eugene, thank you so much.
Thank you. To be continued.
All right, bye.